So we discussed in the last clip about human transformation and how difficult it is. How difficult it is to go through it, and how difficult it is to talk about it, especially for people who didn't go through it, or people who didn't taste the transformation for themselves. What does it mean? And we said that living in a hostile or a friendly universe, it's your own decision. And once you believe you live in that universe, be it hostile or friendly, you will get to selectively look for proof in the outside world to confirm the belief that you now have and you instill in yourself. But it all started as a decision. So let's continue from that place where we left. I said that ultimately what can help you to start living in a friendly universe is ultimately allowing you to do that. Allowing yourself to do that. So it's all about asking better questions, right? A hostile universe would keep you in a state of victimhood. You will continue to ask endlessly without any clear positive outcome questions that keep you trapped. Why is this happening to me? Why are they behaving like that to me? Why am I like this? Why am I like that? So you are this independent, small, fragile thing in the universe, and the whole universe is on you and tries to harm you, right? This is what living in a hostile universe means and feels like. It feels like the whole world is there to get you, right? And again, the brain is designed in such a way that the kind of thoughts that you get to produce on the back of this kind of way of being are just fueling these very thoughts. So we were talking about how like a deep traumatic event in one's life is a proper opportunity to recalibrate and to reassess the whole fabric of their own ways of, interpreting the reality, right? The very foundation of their own thinking. Those core beliefs that we take for objective truth, that we never get to question, right? That are part of our identities in the end. And I said that the first step in a transformation is awareness. If you are not aware that you are doing this to yourself, you will not get out of it. If you don't become aware of the fact that you are producing these negative results endlessly, repeatedly, like with precision in your life, then there is no hope. Because in order to change something or to evolve rather towards something, you have to first realize where you're starting from, right? If you don't want to do an evaluation and an assessment of the situation as it is today, how can you build something for the future? You would basically try to build your future on moving sand, because the present is not stable enough, right? You don't leverage what you've built up to this point, your whole past, your whole being, your whole experience. Instead of using it as an important foundation for whatever you will build, you will want to discard it. You want to get rid of it. You want to run away from it. And that's not a way to build, right? In surviving mode, where you want to run away from a past and basically do everything you can to anticipate a nasty future and be prepared for it because you want to avoid a nasty past. This is not a way to build a life that you are happy with living, okay? So there are many, many concepts that we can dive in at this point, but let's stick with the question part. Indeed, I do believe that asking questions is the most important habit that you can develop for yourself in order to get the kind of answers that you feel are right for you and that you need. And you are always asking questions of yourself. The problem is that you are doing it without knowing. The questions that you're asking yourself, like, why is this happening to me? They are simply the byproduct of a mind who is seeking comfort in a hostile universe. Because if your mind says, you know, why is this happening to you? Because they are bad people and you should run away from them. You then say, yes, this is right. Because look, they did that to the other person and they did that to the other person, and I should run away from them. I should protect myself. I should avoid them. I should do whatever, right? And then you start to buy into this story and it becomes so real and so natural and so objectively true that doesn't matter that I'm telling you they are actually not bad people. You see them as being bad people. You think of them as being bad people. It wouldn't matter because you already changed your mind on that, right? The problem is that this process of you consolidating a negative framing about people in general already, and I'm not saying that there are not, so let's make a distinction. People are people, okay? Bad people, I don't think they exist as such. I think there are people who lived in a hostile universe for so long that everything they see around them is hostile. And they act with hostility because this is what they reflect from the inside, right, from within. People who are doing atrocities and who stay, you know, in battle and they're creating war in the world, they suffer greatly. You cannot harm another human being if you are happy. It's not possible. And I'm not saying that we should cultivate gratitude and be empathic for, you know, for people who engage in all sorts of nasty things. But they are suffering and they are people like us, right? They are people like us. We all have built in into us the capability to do good and to do bad, to do things right and to do things wrong. And imagine in the Second World War, a whole country, like because of a guy who had a message who resonated with the masses, those people, you know, all of a sudden became bad, right? But they were not bad people. They were just primed. Their psyche, their minds were primed to receive this negative message. The message itself was negative, right? And they became negative as human beings. But as people, they're just like me and you. You could have been in their place. And you might say, okay, no, I would not have done bad things, but you never know. The historical context, the environment, the culture, the scarcity, the mind, everything can trigger a certain view of the world in which you can do things that you cannot imagine doing at this point. So instead of judging people like holistically as being good or bad, we have to be able to realize ultimately that we are all products of our own existence and upbringing. And the way I think today is really the byproduct and the culmination of everything that I've experienced in my life. And the same is for you as well. And my opinions that I take for granted today are maybe counterintuitive for other people who lived a different life than me, right? And we can maybe not have any kind of communication channel because we are speaking about two different things entirely, even if sometimes we are using the same words, right? So people are not good or bad, right? What they are doing can be interpreted as bad or good, right? But it's a behavior. It's a behavior that ultimately is rooted in a belief system which doesn't allow them to do anything better than that, right? They live in a hostile universe. So back to our step one, right? Awareness. If you at least give yourself the chance to put this in practice and test it for yourself and say, okay, based on what this guy is telling me, I must have lived in the hostile universe so far. Be truthful to yourself. If your whole life up to this point is chaotic and overwhelming and frustrating and nasty, but you are willing at the same time to investigate why is this the case, to be curious enough to implement something for yourself and start this transformation process, even if at the beginning it might look like there is no return out of it, I genuinely believe that there is no project you can take in your life which is more exciting and more fascinating than getting to know yourself. Again, a statement that if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you will judge it at face value and you will find it worthless. Like you would find worthless, the whole books collection of Eckhart Tolle. It's just not the time for you. You have to suffer a bit more. And I'm not saying it in the way that, look, go suffer instead of, no, it's like, this was my story, right? I would not have been receptive to these messages 10 years ago or 7 years ago, right? Maybe even 6, I don't know. Maybe when my personal crisis started, I was a bit more ready for this, but I'm not sure. I was quite a stubborn, so I used to be quite a stubborn person. So whenever I felt like something is not according to how I saw things at the time, I started to find interesting narratives to discard its importance or to label it as being useless or bad or not necessary or whatever. So depending on how intelligent you are, because that's also a problem sometimes, people are so trapped in their minds and so familiar with their thinking patterns and so trusting in their own reasoning that they cultivated throughout the years, that even if it doesn't serve them that much, and even if it keeps them in a miserable day-to-day existence, they are not willing still to give in to a different interpretation from the outside. If that's you, no shame, no condemnation, no fingers pointing. It's your journey. And before anything, I want to continue with this. I genuinely believe that every person's journey on this planet is sacred in itself. Because I'm no judge of anything. I cannot be judging someone's experience. First of all, I have no means of doing it. I have my own experience, which is perfectly subjective. I can imagine, I can project, I can try to understand another person's experience based on what I'm seeing, but I have no way of actually knowing that experience from the inside, as it feels for that person, right? So I'm not judging anything here. I'm just saying that it might be the case that you need to suffer more to be ready or interested at all in this project that I'm pointing at, in this kind of personal transformation project, in the project that never ends. But once you tasted something on this journey, once you planted the seed, once you let a wave of light pass through this hard shell of yours, on the superficial shell, and once this light touched what's inside, deep inside you, you might start to ask questions, right? You might become curious. And another thing that Eckhart Tolle says is that don't worry if it takes 1 year or 2 years or 10 years. Don't worry if you are not sold on the promise yet. The process, however, is non-reversible. Once you bought into this transformation idea because you felt it, because you experienced the benefits of it for yourself first, you cannot go back. You cannot say, I don't care about that anymore. I'm just going to live my chaotic life and not care about people, not care about myself. Let's just push through it. Continue to be sold on the promise of the world and do whatever people say I should be doing. I don't care that I don't feel good about myself. I don't care that I have an everyday fulfilling life. I just do whatever. It won't be possible anymore. Okay? That's why you see people in US, like very high level people, like dropping everything and going to India in ashrams, or starting to meditate with some gurus there, and they just renounce the whole world, the whole material world, right? This happens. I'm not saying that this is the normal behavior, but it can happen. Like, people can lie to themselves. No, people cannot lie to themselves. You always know if you lie to yourself or not. People fool themselves. People bullshit themselves. That's something that we can do to a masterful level, every single one of us. We are all masters in at least this. We can bullshit ourselves to death, clearly. So there are some people who are like deep masters in bullshitting themselves and riding the wave of success as it's framed by the world and by the society, and they get to a point where they suffer so deeply in what it should be like this amazing life, because from the outside it looks like, and there is such a huge contrast between how they feel inside and what they experience on the outside, that they feel like this was like a foolish game, and they got fooled, and they played by the rules of a game that they didn't create. And now, in sign of protest, maybe to a point, they say, you know what? Fuck it all. I'll go to India and I'll stay there for 3 years. Just like that. That's an extreme case, but it can happen. So, if you didn't feel any kind of silver lining, or you didn't buy into the promise of your own transformation, for sure you didn't even reach this point in the video. I'm absolutely convinced. Because, okay, I don't want to compare myself with Eckhart Tolle, but like Eckhart Tolle is talking for thousands of hours and I cannot, get bored of it, I can also talk for thousands of hours. And I cannot get bored of it because these things apply to me as well. I need to hear these things because I know they are true. And I want to surround myself with my own thoughts that I believe are genuine and truthful and help me grow. And I'm pretty sure that also Eckhart Tolle resonated with his own voice and his own thoughts and his own ideas. And he believed in them deeply. And this is what I'm doing as well. I believe in them deeply. So deeply that I don't care about how I look sometimes when I say some things. What I care about is that the intention behind my words and the message that I want to share with the whole world in the end, right, is something meaningful and deeply important to me. And not to me because I want to be seen as an expert or whatever. It's important to me because this kind of message is not shared enough by other people. And there will never be enough people who can share this message into the world. And I share it in my own way. And it's not a good way or a bad way. It's my own unique way that I assume, that I own, that I'm proud of, and I'm just putting it there. However it comes, unfiltered, with my own biases, with my own experience, with my own interpretation, with my own meanings, whatever. This is who I am. And it took me 37 years to reach this point where I can say, look, this is it, right? This is who I am. This is how I think. This is what I feel. This is why I feel like that. And it's so liberating to be able to do it like that. So liberating to know that no matter who watches this, I won't feel bad about doing it, right? I won't feel cringe. It's like, oh, you're watching me on YouTube. Oh, come on, don't do it, right? No, this is me. I'm really authentic and I'm happy with it. And the fact that I'm okay being like this is it's a huge, how can I say? It's a miracle in a way for me. Because I would have never thought that I can do this. It's an incredible achievement. Because now I can live my life on my own way, on my own terms, sharing my own ideas and philosophy of life, which I know it helps me live a better life, a nicer life, a life of appreciation and love and care. And why wouldn't I share that with the world? I mean, it's also like an amazing filter to know that people ultimately, who tune into the message are the people who I can actually help or support. People who say, this is crap, perfect. No condemnation, no judgment at all. It's absolutely normal that you consider this is crap. And it's absolutely okay. I would have considered this it's crap as well 7 years ago. For sure. but this is not for you. So back to the question, because I tend to do like huge parentheses. The moment, so we left the last clip saying that more important than being able to ask better questions is the willingness to receive the answers that come after asking them, right? So I made this contrast between a question that you typically ask reactively when you live in a hostile universe, like, why is this happening to me? This way of, this judgmental, interrogative, defensive way of asking questions. The answers you get are, of course, answers that reflect the attitude in which you ask the question, right? So the answers keep you trapped in this hostile universe, selectively continuing to get proof that confirm you live in a hostile universe. And you would indeed live in a hostile universe. You personally, yes. But I now start to ask questions which help me evolve, which help me not repeat the same, not having to learn the same lesson twice, or not having rather to be prompted with two learning opportunities twice. Whenever I see a challenge, whenever I encounter a difficulty, I know there is a lesson there that instead of me trying to hide from, I give in to it. I want to learn from it. I enjoy it. I embrace it. I welcome it, right? If it's a challenge, if it's something difficult throughout the day, I go through it. I observe myself almost in real time these days that I resist it. And this is also something that I won't want to do. I have to do this, and this is something else. And the moment when I feel this tension that I resist the way my life and my day is, I say, interesting. Now I just release, now I embrace. And this is a very difficult thing to explain, but it feels like I allow myself to feel what I feel without judgment. I don't resist resistance, right? If I feel this internal tension that keeps me from engaging with my full awareness and full capacity into the next thing, because I feel or I think that this thing is not according to the plan that I had for today, but nevertheless I have to do it. And it can be like normal chores throughout the day, like around the house, instead of me building something or creating whatever. Things have to be done. And you test it for yourself. You can see how much suffering you're causing for yourself, typically just by resisting things that anyway have to be done. So instead of doing that, just try to experience how it feels when you actually want to do it, right? If you say, okay, you know what? Let's see how it feels to not resist this anymore. And you will be surprised what it feels like. So whenever I am faced with the challenge these days, I become, first of all, attentive to the context, right, in which it happens. Because the context is important. The context in which something challenging or unpredictable on a negative side, objectively speaking, happens to me, I first tune in to what happens in order to understand why it happens to me and what lesson should I learn from it, right? And I do this almost as a second nature these days, because again, I feel that my journey is sacred and everything that happens in it happens for me, right? Because now I live in this friendly universe, I interpret the world, I use this positive framing of things by default. So questions like, why is this happening to me, are not part of my conceptual scheme anymore, because they are not the kind of questions that I can ask anymore if I know that I live in a friendly universe. But does it make sense? So whenever something that from the outside to a person who lives in a hostile universe, for example, might look like it's a bad thing, for me, it's actually not only a good thing, but it's a necessary thing. It's an absolutely necessary and unique lesson that I have to learn in order to go towards where I want to go. So why shouldn't I be grateful for it? If it appears on my journey towards a destination that I already decided I will reach, it means that it's on my path. It means that this thing, this event, is on my journey towards that destination. So I have to embrace it. So the question I ask is not why is this happening to me, but how can I learn something unique from this opportunity? How can I see this as a gift? And when I look at it like that, and when I ask the question like that, the answer that comes is in alignment with the question that I ask. Why? Because the answer that I expect is already pre-accepted. I already pre-accept the answer from this question before it appears, in the sense that I won't resist it. If you live in a hostile universe, you will not be able to ask yourself, how is this a unique opportunity for my growth, right? Because your mind immediately will start to say, what are you talking about? Can't you see how bad this is? Can't you see what they did to you? How can you ask such stupid questions, right? So the answers that would eventually come to you is actually not able to pass because of this mind filter in which you are assaulted with thoughts generated from a mind which is not habituated to live in a friendly universe. So you cannot hear the answer because of these voices that you have in your mind. But now, because for me, my transformation process throughout the years allowed me to reframe hardship as a positive thing. Now, my mind, because it has enough evidence that this was the case, will not say, come on, man, what are you talking about? What unique opportunity? Can't you see this is bad? Can't you see this is like an obstacle? Can't you see that they did wrong things to you? Can't you see that you are a victim? Be offended, be upset. I don't operate there anymore. Why? Because I say, and I'm in control. When I say I, it's beyond my ego identification, right? The I who says, I live in a friendly universe, is the I that controls the narrative in my mind. If I say that I live in a friendly universe, then it means that I decide, what do I make out of this life situation? What do I make out of this seeming struggle or seeming challenge? For others might be a challenge and an obstacle. For me, it's a gift. Why? Because I decided to see it like this. I look at it like this. And if I decided that this is a friendly universe, it cannot be something that harms me. It's as simple as that. It's funny with how naturalness and how much clarity I can express these things. Whereas a few years ago, this would have been impossible for me to share with the world or even share it with myself, because I would have known that I'm lying to myself, right? You cannot say these things if you don't genuinely believe this is the case, especially not publish it with the entire world, right? Because you will feel tense while you are saying this. You cannot, and this is for me the greatest gift. This is for me, for example, the result of my ongoing transformation, the byproduct of my ongoing transformation. The fact that I can talk to the world about something that I find deeply intimate, but I genuinely believe that can help others as well. So me saying that I live in a friendly universe and it's my decision to live in a friendly universe, and I frame the obstacles and the challenges as gifts and as stepping stones towards me reaching to a purposeful goal, was not at all something that I could have said 5 years ago. And it feels now so good, so aligned. I have no resistance internally. I have no emotion. I have no tension. Nothing calling me saying, man, don't say that. Come on. It's too fuzzy, or it's too confusing, or it's not technical enough, or it's not. No, I feel this is the case, and I know it's the case. Why? Because this is what I decide, right? So the whole work of transformation is to reach in this place where you can express yourself unfiltered in front of the whole world and be okay with it. Not only be okay with it, but be proud of it. Because the truth is the only thing that can save us, right? Being honest with yourself, being open to the whole world, and putting yourself there is what builds genuine, trusting, long-lasting relationships with people. And I think we need more of them. Transformation is painful because and difficult and hard because the payoff at the end of it is the most glorious thing you can ever experience in this life. And this is the price. You have to become worthy of receiving this kind of gifts from God, and not worthy in the sense that you are not worthy where you are today, but there are sacrifices to be made. You have to be a seeker of truth. You have to be willing to recognize what's inside of you and give more energy to that recognition day by day, so that you become more closer to your true nature, to your own divinity in you. And once you recognize it, and once you start operating from that place more and more, you will see how all of a sudden you will find the world around you more colorful. You will feel more things. You will be willing to express yourself better. You will not be afraid that someone might hurt you all the time. You will not be scared that, um, you know, things will happen to you in your life that you cannot control, and what will you do then? And we are all integral pieces and parts of this life, right? Every single one of us. No one is more special than the other. The fact that some people experience life differently than others, I think it's a gift. The fact that I experience it in a way that allows me to live a good life, a fulfilling life, a life of excitement and gratitude, and that I can share this kind of message with the world, it's amazing for me. This is what I believe to be my gift. This is my purpose in life, to share this message, to help people on the process of transformation if they want help, which means that people who will benefit from my help, they want the transformation, they don't need it. So at the end of the day, my job in a way, it's not that important, right? But I would gladly assist and accompany people on their own transformation, where they assume the role of being the master of their own, transformation and their own outcome and their own evolution. I cannot do anything for them. But if they want someone that can be there with them and assist them and see them when they feel alone and struggle and no one understands them, then there is nothing better in terms of contribution that I can think of at this point in my life. So that's why I'm doing this, to contribute in all the kind of ways that I can. And I do it also because it's a generative thing. It gives me energy for the whole day. Sometimes I start filming in when the sun is not up yet. Now the sun is up. I can even close the light. But it's yeah, it's very beautiful. So if the message resonates with you, leave me a comment, reach out. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. All the best.